Observation in Anthropology. September 2021. Ethiopia. Focus areas. Definition of observation. 1. Structures in observation. Characteristics of observation. 3. Developing relationship. Content. Managing marginality. Threats to validity and ways of assessing. Participant observation. Observer bias. Advantages and disadvantages. What is observation? Observation in a strict sense of simply watching is little used in social research, because human behavior is too complex to record in this way, and because it isolates researchers from what's being studied. Participant observation. It is not sufficient to observe the action, we need to explain it and understand its subjective meaning. Continued. Observation as a research tool is active looking and listening, seeing, knowing, hearing and recording, which is structured and systematic. Observational studies, in which the researchers to record what is seen and heard without otherwise taking part in any activities, are termed non-participant observation. Holger and Tama 1991, 130-40. Structured observation. 1. More structured observation. Less structured observation. Less structured observation. According to Burgess, 1982, the origins of less structured observation lie in anthropology and in the application of its ethnographic approach to the study of communities and groups in industrialized societies. Less structured observation is characterized by flexibility and a minimum of pre-structuring. More structured observation. The emphasis in this tradition has been on the accurate and objective measurement of observable human behavior, on the precise definition and operationalization of concepts, on the production of quantitative data, on the examination of relationships between variables using experimental and statistical techniques, and on the systematic testing of theories. Developing relationships. Festinger et al., 1956, the researcher tries to build on adjust or change initial conceptions using impression management techniques in connection with gatekeepers. If research is conducted more openly, then the researcher may wish to give the impression that he or she is what Hammersley and Atkinson, 1983, term an acceptable marginal member. The researcher's role. According to Gold, 1958, and Junker, 1960, suggest 4 types of role along this dimension. 1. The complete observer. 2. The observer as participant. 3. The participant as observer. 4. The complete participant. Recording observations. Using technology. Field notes. Audio recording. Video recording. Taking photos. Managing marginality. A major problem faced by researchers adopting a more ethnographic approach is that of balancing the insider and outsider aspects of their role, what has been termed managing marginality. Over-rapport may also lead the researcher to concentrate on one particular subgroup or setting, which may influence his or her relationship with, and access to, other subgroups or settings. Hammersley and Atkinson, 1983. What is observed? Observation is holistic in its approach, with researchers collecting data of many aspects of the research setting and its participants. Characteristic of qualitative observational research. Qualitative observational research attempts to capture life as experienced by the research participants rather than through categories that have been predetermined by the researcher. Observational research assumes behavior is purposeful, reflecting deeper values and beliefs. Qualitative observational research is exploratory. It seeks to uncover unanticipated phenomena. Threats to validity. The validity of observation data can be threatened in a number of ways. Personal reactivity occurs when subjects behave differently because of the personal characteristics or behavior of the observer. Tizard and Hughes, 1984. Ways of assessing validity. Reflexivity. It involves the continual monitoring of, and reflection on, the research process. During and after the fieldwork, the researcher tries to assess the extent of his or her own role in the process of data production and how the data were affected by the social context in which they were collected. White, 1981, or Burgess, 1984. Triangulation is more a direct check on the validity of observations by cross-checking them with other sources of data. If a researcher supported his conclusion by data from other sources, then we can be more confident of its validity. Ethical issues in observational research. According to Dr. Catherine Dawson, 2007. 1. Avoid deception. 2. Always earn informed consent. 3. Keep confidentiality. 4. Be cultural inclusive. And 5. The finding must be realistically representing the target community population under your study. Observer bias. According to Sharon Lockyer, 2005, errors and biases can occur in all types of social science research, whether it is qualitatively driven or quantitatively led. The observer's age, gender, social class, values, schemas, and expectations may lead certain observations to be recorded as significant and others to be ignored if the observer regards them as unimportant. Advantage of observational research. First, information about the physical environment and about human behavior can be recorded directly by the researcher without having to rely on the retrospective or anticipatory accounts of others. Secondly, the observer may be able to see what participant cannot. Thirdly, observation can provide information on the environment and behavior of those who cannot speak for themselves and therefore cannot take part in interviews or complete questionnaires. Babies, very young children and animals are obvious examples. Taylor, 1984. A final advantage is that data from observation can be a useful check on, and supplement to, information obtained from other sources. Limitations of observational research. A first limitation is that the environment and/or behavior of interest may be inaccessible and observation may simply be impossible, or at least very difficult. A second limitation is that people may, consciously or unconsciously, change the way they behave because they are being observed, and therefore observational accounts of their behavior may be inaccurate representations of how they behave naturally. A third limitation is that observations are inevitably filtered through the interpretive lens of the observer. Finally, it is worth emphasizing that observational research is very time-consuming, and therefore costly. Subscribe. Thank you all. God bless Ethiopia. Subscribe now.